Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have a message for this country and the people. For the people. I'm gonna tell you a story that comes on my mind every time I hear news lately. When I read comments under the news, many people compare what's going on with Germany back in the days, how opposition was downtrodden and eliminated. And many people compare the leader with the Hitler. But I have a story about another country that was going south about the same time as Germany. And I'm talking about Russian Empire, where Red Revolution happened, resulting in creation of the Soviet Union. After the revolution, there was agreement with the old government. They made a temporary government, sort of, till they could figure out how to run the country after they removed the royal family from the power. But what happened, Lenin and his fraction, called Bolsheviks, seized the power, took the opportunity when there was no order in the country, and took power by force under this guise of communism and all the power to the people. Not everybody was supporting them. Not everyone was supporting Lenin or Bolsheviks. And with little force, he was taking city by city, region by region, slowly but surely, with only a few hundreds people, sometimes even less, sometimes a few dozens that were armed, were taking over towns without resistance. He would invade little cities that have manufacturers or some important infrastructure. And Lenin, with his goons, sometimes would try take over legally. But when the legal ways were not working for him, he would use force. In some towns and regions, he would initiate voting, putting up front his candidates and trying to win the population. And if his candidate was not winning it, he would just cancel the votes and take the place by force with weapons. There were more people that were against Lenin and his gang. They were outnumbered, Lenin, the Bolsheviks. But the masses, they're not so well organized. They're like sheep trying to deal with the wolves. So Lenin and his gang, with sometimes just dozens of people, would take cities without fight, because general population didn't care who's in charge of the city, as long as they can keep their work, their jobs, and carry on their daily life. They didn't care who the taxes go to. They just wanted to live and to be left alone. And the local governments, they wouldn't try hard. They would either take their offer or run away. I mean, what I'm saying, take an offer, is accept and convert into the new regime and keep their higher status and work for Lenin, or get killed. That was their choice. And apparently, as most politicians around the world who make careers, of course they took the new flag and kept working on the same positions. If somebody did resist with weapons and they managed to protect the cities, Bolsheviks and Lenin, they would back off for a little while just to gather more people. They would first make a deal saying, okay, we're gonna leave you alone here. You're doing a great job managing your city and your region and your state, so we're not gonna touch you. Let's make peace. But in a few weeks or months, once Lenin gathered more muscles around that town, he would charge again and take that town by force. There were groups resisting in the north and in the south and in the east of the country. However, they were not coordinated. Everybody wanted something for themselves, and they were not standing together. Some regions only wanted to protect their land, and they would fight off communists and Lenin just to run them away from their land But they wouldn't go further. They wouldn't go further and push and smash this red pestilence. They would just run them away behind the border of their land, and they would stay. And what that didn't work well for them, because Lenin and his gang would back off, regroup, recruit more people, and charge again and again and again until he overpowers that region. And all the resistance they wanted to do themselves. You do you. That was their policy. They were not organized. So even though altogether they outnumbered Lenin and his gang of Bolsheviks, they were all clustered. And that's how Lenin was strong and managed to take city, state by state, slowly but gradually. Sometimes with hundreds of people, sometimes with 50 people. Many times, general population didn't even know what's going on, because there was no internet apparently, no cell phones. They would just say that, oh, we heard some shooting outside last night, and now we have a new flag over the administrative building. And nothing really changed in their life, because the power struggle is on higher level. General people, they were not even involved in that. Let's say it's local government, local police would be fighting with the invaders. That's how it was. So there was not much resistance. And if there was resistance, Lenin and the gang would back off until they regroup and get more muscles to try again. This is what I see happening right now in this country. A lot of people are complaining. A lot of people are talking about the Second Amendment. A lot of people are saying we need to do something. The governors must do something. The Democrats must do something. But they're not organized. They can't do anything. They would rather keep their seat and their status, just work under new management. That's the reality. Or all the career politicians, they're not called career politicians for no reason. They're gonna stay on their seats, just work under new management. Nothing is gonna change for them, and of course, not much is gonna change for the general population. Not for the best, at least. What Lenin did, his gang, he would grab people. If some state or city resists too much, he would grab people as prisoners. He would kidnap people and keep them in his jails, and tell to the remaining people in those states that if somebody resists or somebody tries to fight back or attack, he would kill those people that he kidnapped. He would kill the prisoners that he took from those territories. Yes, it's acting like mafia or cartels to kidnap somebody for ransom, but the ransom was, don't touch us or we're gonna kill your family that we kidnapped. Sometimes when Lenin and his gang needed money, he would kidnap people too and release them after he gets a ransom. Literally kidnapping for a ransom. That's how they were raising money. The communists, Bolsheviks, that's how they worked. Once the whole country submitted, things started to change. The enemies of the state, the enemies of the people, they were all arrested. Now there was nobody to blame for how bad economy is. There was nobody left to blame why things are getting broken, infrastructure is getting broken, no maintenance going on all around the country. Pipes are blowing, buildings and bridges are falling because all the smart people that could resist, all the smart people that could organize themselves, they were all shot. Or they run away from the country, trying to save their lives. So now Lenin needed new scarecrow to blame. He needed new scapegoat to blame why things are crappy, why life is not good and it's not getting any better. So it was easy to fix. All he needed to start arresting people and blaming it on them. Now the workers, now all the people that were supporting Lenin's movement, they started to reap the consequences. Because when you are assigned a scapegoat, even though you did nothing, you just try to have life, that's it for you. Because you're gonna get grabbed from the streets, you're gonna get grabbed from your house, you're gonna get grabbed from a hospital, you're gonna get grabbed from a school, from a movie theater, wherever they can find you. They're not even looking for you specifically, they're just gonna grab you because they have quotas. Once they round you up and send you to Gulag, your name is gonna go on the news saying that this person was a wrecker at his work, he was slacking, he was trying to make things difficult, he would break machinery so that communism slows down and country doesn't get to the bright future. All these regular people were blamed, all these accusations that were fake. But Lenin needed scapegoats. He needed to keep going, blaming someone why things are not running well. So first, Lenin went for all the noble people, smart people, engineers, politicians that were against his regime, all the bright people, teachers, doctors. He went for them to crush the intellectual resistance. Then once that was done, he went for regular people, even for the workers that were rooting for him in the beginning. Later on, they fell under the steamroll of the party. And all the muscles, all the goons, later on when Lenin died and Stalin took over, all these people that made revolution possible and made the Bolsheviks' seizure of power possible, they were all called traitors, and they were all shot or sent to Gulag, which is essentially the same, a slow death, because you're not getting enough food and you're getting overworked to the ground and you don't get medical treatment in Gulag. And all the high status politicians that were all the Lenin's gang, all the crew of the high status, Stalin also purged them. That means whoever is doing what they're doing in the United States right now, thinking that they're gonna make America great again, eventually they're gonna be purged. Even the higher ups, they're gonna be all purged. Think of it this way. Think of it as a mafia. When mafiosi needs to assassinate someone, he hires a killer, assassiner, or whatever you call him. The killer goes and kills the person. What mafiosi does next? He hires another killer to kill the original killer. So the same thing happened with Lenin and his people. Stalin started purging all the Lenin's legacy. So the message that I want to give it today to the people, if you're rooting for seizing the power to make America great again, think again. Think twice and try to learn from history. First, the regime will go after all the marginal people, all the outcasts. Regime will blame them for why you're not prosperous. Regime will blame them because it's easy, because nobody's gonna protect the marginal people. When marginal people run out, things still not gonna be perfect and not great, and quality of life is not going to improve. So he will need new classes of people to blame, and that's where it becomes very bad. Slowly and gradually, the scapegoats are gonna run out. And who's gonna be next? Regular Joe. Because when you assign a regular person to be a villain, and then you make up the paperwork and you make up all these verdicts and accusations, and all you need to show on the news, show on the news that this person is a criminal, and then you can round them up. And the general public will only cheer until it's gonna be their turn. This is how Bolsheviks took power, slowly but surely, city by city. When there was a resistance, they would back off, but they will try again in a little bit, because resistance was not organized. He will try again until he gets enough power to take the city. And another cities and another states were just observing, like a wolf. Lenin was like a wolf grabbing a sheep. Other sheep were just watching and just watching how wolf takes away a sheep. Then, when wolf gets hungry again, he would come again and take another sheep. And all the other sheep would be just watching and saying, we need to do something, we need to do something. Somebody needs to do something. And he was going one by one, taking sheep after sheep after sheep. And if a shepherd dog would, or a shepherd would try to resist, of course the wolf will run away and then bring 5 more wolves, take down the shepherd or a shepherd dog, and start taking the sheep again. The problem is that other shepherds don't come around and don't support and don't help. They don't join forces. So the wolf is coming back again with friends. This is what's happening. This is what happened in Germany. This is what happened in Russia. And this is what's happening in this country. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Bye.